Our first touring car race of the afternoon at Thruxton provided only a few clues to the shape of the new season. Round 2 of the Dunlop MSA Championship will tell us, I'm sure, a whole lot more. And Tim Harvey and Ben Edwards are in position to describe the action.
The cars are halfway around their formation lap at the moment. There's a little bit of cloud around, but conditions are still good. But not such good news for Tom Onslow-Cole. He didn't get off the grid on that formation.
No, didn't pull away on the warm-up lap. Don't know what the problem is, but he's been pushed off the grid, which is a great shame after a strong initial showing in the first race.
So let's see how they line up for this second one. Race 1 winner Fabrizio Giovanardi now has 45 kilos on board his cars. He starts from pole, Plato alongside, Matt Jackson and Paul O'Neill on row 2, and Tom Boardman and Phil Glue, his first British touring car meeting, he's on the 3rd row. Alex McDowell right behind him, his former rival from Clio's. Then Dave Pinkney, John George and Andy Neitz are together on row 5. Martin Johnson and Matt Neal are on row 6. And we've got some repaired cars towards the back. Tom Onslow-Cole now starting from the pit lane. Andrew Jordan, his car wasn't too badly damaged. Tom Chilton was badly damaged, but the car is out there. Matt Hamilton's on the grid, so is Gordon Shedden. Great work by the Honda Racing team. Stephen Kane had a broken drive shaft earlier, that's why he didn't feature in the first race. Sean Hollenby and Rob Collard are also back on the grid after problems respectively in the Golf and the BMW. So cars, as I say, about 2/3 of the way around this formation lap already. There's Onslow-Cole, though, in the pit lane.
Yeah, he's actually at the exit of the pit lane, ready to go. So presumably a little bit of a battery problem. Couldn't start it on the grid, but they've managed to fire it up in the pit lane.
So cars here up towards the chicane. So let's think about this now. That first race, Tim, was the only race of the whole season that they didn't have to run any ballast. Now that we've had a winner, he's got to carry 45 kilos of ballast, and in fact the top 5 cars have to carry lead now.
Yeah, and it's particularly the top 3 of those. Giovanardi with 45 kilos, Plato with 36, and to a certain extent Jackson with 27, who really feel the difference. It makes a difference on braking, acceleration, and crucially here, it makes a little bit of a difference on tyre life as well. But no surprise the first race, first and second, the 2 most experienced men on the grid.
But watch Matt Jackson. There is a difference this year in getting on these BMWs off the line because they've got a higher first gear, and it's been brought in by TOCA to try and reduce the rear-wheel drive advantage. And in fact, he had a clutch problem in that first race. But watch Matt Jackson. He starts 3rd on the grid in the Airwaves BMW.
Yeah, and teammate Stephen Kane broke a drive shaft, so clearly the loadings are heavy on those BMWs.
Here we go then. Engine revs rise. All set for the second race of the day at Thruxton. Lights out, away we go, and Giovanardi gets off the line, and Matt Jackson slow in the BMW, and he's mobbed by everybody else around him. That's how hard it is to get a BMW off the line this year under the new regulations. Now he gets going, but look at the leaders, Giovanardi and Plato and Paul O'Neill. A fantastic start by Paul O'Neill.
Yeah, but similarly, Rob Collard, though, in the other BMW, he did get off the line quite well. Oh, someone's locked up into the complex.
Yeah, everybody's jostling for position in the middle of the pack there. As remember, we've got some quick guys starting in the back. People like Gordon Shedden, Matt Neal, all starting towards the back. There's Shedden, the race 1 leader for such a long time until he had a puncture, and he's trying to fight his way through. But Giovanardi already making the break in the black Vauxhall Vectra.
Oh, did you see that movement there? Just turning in there to the fast corner. It's 115, 120 miles down. The back end was snaking away, turning into good with cold rear tyres.
Jason Plato sitting in 2nd. Paul O'Neill in the trusty Honda Integra. He's sitting in 3rd place. John George, his teammate, down towards the back of the pack there. The Airwaves BMW of Matt Jackson being chased by Tom Boardman. Then it's Alex McDowell going well. Phil Glue, Dave Pinkney still in the mix there as well. And Giovanardi really pushing hard on this first lap. Now, will he pay a penalty for that later in the race?
Well, let's see if they stay off the curbs. Giovanardi over one curb, over the other. Not a good practice, I would have thought, but he seems to know what he's doing. He won the first race, so who am I to say? But he is certainly pushing very hard.
Yeah, 1.2-second advantage at the end of the lap. Now, here 2 former Renault Clio Cup rivals in the middle of the pack. The blue car of Alex McDowell and the black machine of Phil Glue. Glue was the champion in the Clios last season, and now the 2 of them have moved up to the top level of touring cars, and it's good to see them racing hard. Giovanardi leads, though. Plato under pressure from Paul O'Neill and Matt Jackson. You're on board with Paul O'Neill.
Yeah, just follow this as we go up to the fast left-hander that's Allard. Just see if he lifts off. Just a hint of a feather on the throttle, and then back on hard. That's 120 miles an hour. Then a feather on the brakes, back on the power, trying to put the minimum amount of steering input in through this long right-hander. This is where the tyres get worked so hard. Right to the edge of the track, then bisecting a little bit down to Church. Now listen again, little bit of a lift, back on the power, over the curb. The tightest possible line and then out to the outside.
Paul O'Neill on with the Honda Integra. Remember, this car, this type of car, won all 3 races some years ago in the hands of Dan Eves. It's always been a good car, but so is the Vauxhall Vectra, which leads the race at the moment. Giovanardi took his 6th Thruxton win earlier on today, and he's knocking on the door of Ivan Muller's record of 7 Thruxton wins in his career. So it is a track that suits the Vectra, it suits the Italian, and at the moment he's got a lead, but Plato was slightly quicker on that lap and has narrowed the gap slightly.
Yeah, all 3 of them over the curbs at the end of the second lap. It's actually very difficult for the driver not to go over the curbs because all his instincts and repetition are to take that same line.
So, and leaders are through, back into the complex once again. Boardman is still holding on to 5th in the black Seat Leon there with the Union Jack. Alex McDowell, then Phil Glue, then Matt Neal up to 8th place. Not a bad effort from Matt Neal. Remember, he was towards the back. And Andrew Jordan, he's running now in 9th place with David Pinkney in 10th place. So those are the points scorers at the moment. As you see, Paul O'Neill just going a touch wide, Matt Jackson getting closer. There's Andrew Jordan, who had contact with Onslow Cole in race 1. And as you said, Tim, on the commentary, Onslow Cole simply hadn't seen Andrew Jordan, came over and apologised afterwards.
Yeah, it was one of those situations, really only one line through the exit of that complex, and Andrew Jordan was on the outside. Oh, sliding the car there, Andrew Jordan, through dirt. But we know, as you said, his rallycross experience is helping him out there, no end.
Now we've got Collard and Stephen Kane, and we've got the other Airwaves car there. Stephen Kane just up ahead. We've got Rob Collard in the middle of this pack as well, and Andy Neat. So BMW's all running together, but a lot further down than they'd want to be.
Yeah, Stephen Kane, this is effectively his first race, obviously, because he didn't get a run at the first one, having broken the drive shaft on the line, but he's pushing and charging.
Yeah, he is, trying very hard indeed, but Stephen Kane, oh, you can see the car just sliding around a little bit. Up towards the complex they come once again. Rob Collard will no doubt try and take advantage, but Kane takes a slightly tight line into the complex, so there's no way through there. Rob Collard in car number 6. He went off, if you remember, there was slight contact up at this part of the track in race 1, and it sent him off onto the grass on the outside here. But all well and good for the moment. And 2 rival teams, of course. Collard did drive for Airwaves last year, but he's actually made the switch to WSR for this season.
Yeah, a huge amount of rivalry between these 2 BMW teams, and certainly Motorbase pulled a little bit of a flanker on West Surrey Racing by turning up for the first race with the new aero kit that the works teams in the European or the World Touring Car teams used last year. So a completely different front spoiler and splitter, and also a rear boot lid.
That's interesting. So Motorbase working very hard to improve. Meanwhile, a bit of a battle going on here. Phil Glue, who's tucked in behind Alex McDowell, he's now got to watch out for Matt Neal. And Matt Neal in 8th place. He, as we know, is quite a renowned charger when he sees an opportunity. They will be looking after their tyres, though. Matt Neal in particular will be wary after having suffered a puncture in that first race.
Yeah, Plato actually set the fastest lap on lap 2, but they've now backed off by about a second off that time.
Yeah, so Giovanardi's still out in front at the moment by 1.5 seconds. And then the gap back to Paul O'Neill in 3rd position, Matt Jackson in 4th, then Tom Borman. Then this battle here, Alex McDowell versus Phil Glue in 2 different cars, the Chevrolet Cruze and the Vauxhall Vectra. The Cruze new to British touring cars, as we know, in the hands of Plato a little further up. But this is impressive from both Alex McDowell and Phil Glue in their first BTCC meeting.
Yeah, they're about to get a little bit of a rude awakening as Matt Neal closes up on the back of them, but 2 BTCC debutants doing a fantastic job, but both in good cars with good teams and good teammates to learn from.
Yeah, exactly, and it's learning all the time for both of them. That's got to be important. You're looking back from Jason Plato, who's currently sitting 2nd. It's still Paul O'Neill in an excellent 3rd. Remember, that 3rd place Honda Integra car's been around for a while. It's run on a fairly limited budget. Tech Speed Racing doing all the engineering on the car, and it is performing well, and there isn't too much worry about the tyres on the Integra. We know how well it last said. There's Matt Neal, as we thought. He's nipped past Phil Glue, and Glue's going to lose another place here to Andrew Jordan.
Yeah, well, it looks looking at the end of that, I think Matt Neal stuffed it up the inside going into the chicane. I said it wouldn't take long. Oh, that's Paul O'Neill's teammate John George, who's just pulled off on the middle of the chicane, actually, which is a little bit of a dangerous place. Let's hope he can get it started and move away. Yes, he can.
Oh, that's good. Got points in the first race, but that's dropped him right down to the back, of course, in this race. Sean Hollenby still running in the VW Golf, by the way, as we stay with Jason Plato and see how close Paul O'Neill is behind. Watch out for Matt Jackson. throughout this race, because of course the rear-wheel drive BMW does not have to worry about its tyres at all, and he will be able to just keep pushing, doesn't have to sort of back off and worry, you know, about the tyres. So Matt could come on strong latter part of this race.
Yeah, the BMW big rear-wheel drive, it doesn't put so much loading through the front left, and the rear left is easier to control. So it's the lightest car on its tyres here, which gives it actually an advantage, as you say, at the end of the race.
Yeah, and we're still got plenty of time to go. We're on lap 6 of 16. We're on board with Paul O'Neill, and he's having a little look around Jason Plato, who just deters him a little bit. Not weaving as such yet, because they haven't quite got into a challenging position. Watch that right rear lock-up. Great to see.
Yeah, Plato taking a tight line in, but ensuring he got the car stopped and a good exit out, which is very important, so he can be quick through Allard, and then he's not under pressure coming into the complex. But Paul O'Neill's taking certainly the shortest possible line here.
Giovanardi pulled out again, a bit more of a lead that time, up to 2.1 seconds. Plato busier sort of trying to fend off Paul O'Neill perhaps and look after his tyres at the same time. Great view this on board with Paul O'Neill, as you see the different line through the complex.
And a lesson there from Jason Plato on how to take that complex. Slow in, tight round the left-hander, and then a very good exit. You can see he's pulled out 3 or 4 car lengths just as a result of that.
Just kisses the curb on the left. Watch him here. Listen to the engine. Feathering the throttle, then on it.
Yeah, and some understeer building into the car. You can see the steering angle from the front wheels, and Jason Plato, Jason Plato just running out to the outside.
Tom Boardman, I think. Tom, is that Boardman? Yeah, it is. Boardman in trouble. Got off to the left. Now, is that a tyre problem or is that a mistake? Take another look at this. Did he just run wide?
I think he's just run wide there. I don't think that was a tyre problem. I think the line is very wide there, but Plato's still defending.
Yeah, O'Neill had a chance there. He was up on the outside. Matt Jackson still behind them in the Airwaves BMW. This is the battle for second, remember. Gap to the race leader, Fabrizio Giovanardi, still just a fraction over 2 seconds. Giovanardi in control, but Plato fighting off Paul O'Neill and Matt Jackson, and we're looking back again from Jason Plato as they come up through Allard towards the complex once again. The sun just glinting onto the bodywork of these cars, past the massed banks of spectators up on the outside there. Great viewing spot this is, and watching an intriguing race for second place as they try and balance attack versus looking after tyres.
Yes, it is, and again Plato pulling out a little bit on the exit there, but Matt Jackson's really coming into his own in the BMW, and at the moment he looks like by far and away the strongest of the BMW runners, which maybe isn't a surprise after finishing second in BMW a couple of years ago, his own family-run team. But he was honest enough to admit he was a bit rusty on rear-wheel drive when he first got back in the car after a year in the Chevy, but he certainly picked his game up and is back to as good as he ever was.
Yeah, he is a real talent, Matt Jackson, and could well be a championship contender throughout this season, as Plato still keeps O'Neill and Jackson behind him. There's the gap to Fabrizio Giovanardi, who's very much in control, as long as he's looking after his tyres sufficiently, of course. Giovanardi's lost this race at Thruxton in the past on the last gasp, so he knows he's got to be careful. Matt Neal in the middle of that group hasn't got past Alex McDowell, interestingly, yet. Matt Neal, who got past Phil Glue, but now seems to...
Well, he's now done it.
Spoke too soon. Here we go, down the inside. Yeah, makes it look quite easy, so Matt Neal squeezes his way past, and that brings him up into 5th place now, so he goes after that group that are battling for second.
Yeah, and Andrew Jordan looking to get down the inside and follow through. I think he's going to do it, should do. McDowell could fight back here through the left-hander. They're side by side. If they stay side by side, Jordan will have it for the final right-hander, and he does.
Good clean racing though, impressive
Very
stuff.
good.
From the new boy, Alex McDowell. He gave Andrew room, but he certainly didn't give up the place easily.
No, you can't give anything up easy in touring cars. You have to fight for every position, but it's controlled aggression.
Phil Glue tucked in behind him, and really enjoying this opportunity, as you said, and just relishing the opportunity to be in British touring cars, saying that the cars are not that much quicker than the Clios. They are faster, but you've got a lot more metal around you. You've got a slower driving position, so it's harder to spot your apexes and things, so he's a lot to learn here. Through Church Corner they come. Andrew Jordan just ahead of those two. It's still Giovanardi who leads. We're on lap 9 out of 16, and the Italian is looking good up front with that lead of just over 2 seconds, and Plato's still fending off Paul O'Neill. Jackson's dropped back a little bit into the clutches, interestingly, of Matt Neal.
Yeah, Matt Neal's actually caught this group up. So Matt Neal is the fastest man on the track, really, over the last few laps. I think Plato's starting to hold them up. This is probably an effect of the weight that he's got in the car, really just starting to work the tyre. Oh, nice little slide there from Alex McDowell. But yeah, Neal's catching them up. His car, of course, not carrying any ballast at all.
No, that's right, but he did start from quite a long way down. So this is an impressive run so far from Matt Neal, as we would expect from another former double champion, and a man who is back with his dad's team and really making this car work well. Where is Shedden? He's in 10th place, so his teammate, Tom Chilton's in trouble in the pits. So something's happened there. Don't quite know what's gone on. Not looking like a tyre problem. No,
but you know, there was a lot of damage to the front of that car in the first race, and it wouldn't surprise me if something is awry underneath that perfect looking bonnet, but it may not be all correct underneath.
No, it did hit the tyres hard, launched itself up over the tyres down at this section of circuit. Giovanardi still leading as they hurtle through Church Corner, and look at this little battle now, Matt Jackson versus Matt Neal. Matt Neal right behind in the Honda Racing Civic, looking to make a move on the run up towards the chicane, trying to squeeze through one side or the other, but Jackson just holds the middle of the road, moves slightly to the inside and holds it fairly straightforwardly. So Matt Neal's going to have to think of something else. Andrew Jordan follows through. He's in 6th position, so he's come up well, considering he had that problem in the first race. And Matt Neal quite quick out of the chicane, but can't get alongside on the run to Allard.
Yeah, Matt Neal's very quick out of the chicane. If Jackson gets anything less than a perfect exit, then Matt Neal will be able to drag up the inside. He's looking down the inside into the complex. Matt's giving him room. Will he fight back? No, he's cleanly through.
That was a real late braking manoeuvre from Matt Neal that he's so good at. Dive up the inside on a tight line and still get the car into the corner. And that's classic Matt Neal. And this is great stuff from him. He's now moved up to 4th place, so podium definitely a possibility here. And let's just hope that they're not running too much, too risky on the setup on the car. They obviously had punctures on both cars last time out, so I'm sure they've gone a lot more conservative, and yet the car is still very fast.
Well, exactly. It's not worth being aggressive on the setup, because the amount you gain is only a very short-term benefit over the first couple of laps or so. If you have tyre degradation because of the result of the aggressive setup, it's not worth doing. You're better off setting the car conservatively and being quicker for a longer period of the race, and that's being shown at the moment.
Absolutely right. So let's watch them as they come up the hill once more. The gap between Giovanardi and Plato last time around was down a fraction. Andrew Jordan now challenging Matt Jackson to go through. So Jackson dropping back a little. Now that surprises me. I thought that he would be in better shape in regard to the others at this latter part of the race, but it's completely the opposite. The BMW is actually dropping back.
Yeah, that's inside the Dynamics pit lane, so some concerned faces there, but they'll be cheering Matt on all the way.
Andrew Jordan, therefore, into 5th place. Jackson drops to 6th. McDowell is still 7th. Glue 8th. Pinckney is in 9th. Stephen Kane is in at 10th place. Gordon Shedden 11th. Rob Collard 12th. And Tom Onslow Cole is currently in 13th position. Andrew Jordan and Matt Jackson here very close to one another, but I don't think there's any chance for Jackson to return the favour and get back ahead of the Pertec machine just yet. Giovanardi just nipping through the shot. It's Matt Neal who we're keeping an eye on here, because he has certainly put in some quick laps over the last few. Again, that last lap was a quick one from him, 1 minute 20.6, although Giovanardi did a 1:20.5 up front. But there's no doubt that Matt Neal is getting a bit closer to Paul O'Neill.
Yeah, to watch Matt through Church, you're looking back through the fastest corner in British Motorsport, taken in top gear, and Matt and Paul very equal there. They're both good buddies off the circuit, but very equally matched on it as well.
Yeah, they've had some good races on circuit, haven't they, over the years? They usually give each other room, but they still want to beat each other. And let's just watch into the chicane. Using a bit more curve there is Matt Neal. This is where he's been quick, but there Paul O'Neill had a good exit himself. Yeah,
the front-wheel drive cars both pull out of the chicane very well. Rear-wheel drive cars tend to spin up the rear wheels a little bit, but they came out very equally.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch the different ages of Honda here. The Integra, which has been in British touring cars, as we know, for quite a few years. The Civic, which was built to S2000 regs, so slightly different regulations that Civic is built to. Oh, I think Plato may have a puncture. We think Plato could be in trouble. I've just heard something over the pit radio. He's not sure. We'll have to try and keep an eye out. There is the race leader, Giovanardi. Plato is worried that he may have a puncture. He suddenly felt something Let's watch it, Tim.
Yeah, it looks okay at the moment, but Neil slid up the inside into Goodwood, taken the opportunity.
Yeah, Matt Neal's up to third. Plato's got a vibration, he says.
Yeah, it's definitely not a puncture because the tyre wouldn't be going around at that speed if he had a puncture, but it may be early warning signs of a potential puncture.
So let's see what happens. And of course, these two are great rivals. No love lost at all between Jason Plato and Matt Neal over the years. And Matt Neal is now on the charge in the Honda. And we know that Plato's got a little bit of concern with that car. Giovanardi leads, Plato second, Matt Neal third, and Paul O'Neill still tucked right in behind Matt Neal. These four cars well away, really, from the rest of them. Andrew Jordan next up in fifth place, then Jackson and McDowell. But all eyes on this battle now between Jason Plato and Matt Neal. How many times have we said that over the years?
Neil's going to have a go here. Watch it. Plato blocks. Neil was lining up to go inside, but Plato blocked, and now he's got to nurse that car through this tight series of corners with a front understeering, get a good exit. If Matt Neal can stay on his bumper, he may have another chance after this next left-hander Allard, the same place he did Paul O'Neill, because Matt takes a very tight line into the following corner. So watch through here. Is he close enough to dive up the inside? Not really.
Not quite. Oh, and we've got a puncture for Martin Johnson there in the old Astra Cooper, and into the pits has come Andrew Jordan, so he's obviously had a problem as well. Perhaps the tyre. Oh, that's disappointing because he was looking at a fifth place. That brings Jackson back up to fifth. McDowell now into sixth, Glue into seventh place. But this is where Matt Neal really is looking to try and close up on Jason Plato for second place. Giovanardi still with that 2-second advantage up front, looking to make it 2 wins out of 2 races here today to add to his tally. He has a remarkable Thruxton record, does the Italian, but all eyes on Plato versus Matt Neal as they come through the chicane once more. This will be to complete lap number 14, and we're on to lap 15 out of 16.
Yeah, in fact, the all-time winner here at Thruxton in the modern era is Ivan Muller with 7 victories. If Giovanardi wins this, he'll be on 7 as well. So not one away from being the all-time winner here at Thruxton.
No, that's impressive stuff, isn't it? He's having a look at Plato. Look how tight he kept it and ran it over the curve. He knows what Matt Neal's overtaking tactics are, which are always to sort of go very tight, very deep into the corner and try and snatch the apex away from his rival. And Plato was not letting him have the apex. He had the car right on it.
No, but this sort of pressure is what Plato's used to, but Matt can dish it out. Plato can certainly take it.
Good stuff. This is what we want to see.
Look at Matt Neal trying to get up the inside there. He was looking for him, and Plato's covering. Will Plato run wide on the exit? No, it's Neal running wide.
Paul O'Neill behind them still looking to try and pick up the pieces if anything should go wrong. Bit of heavy looking cloud around, the sun still glinting at the moment, but could be in for showers later. But we're into the closing stages. A bit of a wide run there from Plato. He will have lost a mile an hour or so, and this could give Matt Neal a chance. He moves to the outside up Woodham Hill. Plato will defend to the inside. The two great rivals going door handle to door handle up towards the chicane under the brakes. Oh, they've hit each other. Matt Neal keeps it going. Plato's the one who spares. He rejoins, just avoids Paul O'Neill. Oh, well, you can see that one coming. You can see it coming because Plato wasn't going to brake until Matt Neal braked, and then they just could not make the right-hander. But fortunately, they both got away with it. So Giovanardi leads. It's Matt Neal now in second. Talk us through it, Tim.
Well, they just didn't want to brake until the other did, and actually they just couldn't make the corner. Plato ran into the side of O'Neill. Fortunately, they both remained going straight and carried on.
Amazing they both got away with that. That's so rare to see contact into the chicane of both cars getting away with it, but they have done. Plato, of course, has dropped several places as a result of that. He's just ahead of Jackson. And he's going to have to try and limp home now. There is our race leader, though, Giovanardi. What a superb run this has been. And he's going to make it 2 out of 2, as long as it all holds together for this final half a lap. And a couple of years ago, he took 4 race wins in 6 races here. And it's going to be another double, at least, today.
Well, Triple A is saying this is a one-off race, but if the sponsors don't get behind this man and keep him in the championship, it'll be a real disappointment.
It is remarkable, as you say. He's going to match Ivan Muller on 7 wins here at Thruxton in the modern era, and it's going to be the 9th Vectra win in 14 races. It is an amazing record the Vauxhall Vectra has here at Thruxton. It's always been strong, and it's no different in 2010. But as Giovanardi takes the 2nd win of the day, 2 out of 2, it's Matt Neal who has fought his way up to 2nd. A brilliant drive by Matt Neal. Paul O'Neill finishes 3rd. Plato survives to finish 4th. Matt Jackson is 5th. McDowell in 6th place ahead of Phil Blue. Stephen Kane through there in 8th in the Airways car. And now let's just see what happened at the end. Yes, Collard was 9th. Pinkney took the final point in 10th, just ahead of Gordon Shedden.
Yes, and both the Dynamics cars, the Honda Racing Team cars, finishing this race with no punctures. So clearly it isn't the tyre, it's the setup you choose to run on the car.
Totally right, but it's Fabrizio Giovanardi who has taken another victory. You know, last in few events of last year, look at Paul O'Neill, he's delighted. Podium position. We might see if we can have a quick word with Paul. We've got the radio on board with Paul, and of course he got the one podium last year at Snetterton.
All right, I can't believe it,
we'll
man.
see if we can hear from him. We're hearing. Let's see. Paul, can you hear us? Paul, this is better than the commentary box. Well done. A 3rd place.
I can't believe it, guys. Thank you very much. That was unbelievable. That was like the last one I watched in 1996. No, wet, and it was all over the shop in the Peugeot. So I'm made up, guys. Thank you very much. Cannot believe it. Yes.
Really good stuff, really good stuff. And of course, you had a good view of what was going on there between Plato and Matt Neal, didn't you?
Yeah, do you know what, guys? I knew it was going to happen. I just bided my time. I let Matt through. You could see what was going to happen. It looks like Jason was struggling with the rear brakes, and he didn't do anything wrong. It was a racing incident, to be fair. So, but you know, I'm not the clerk of the course. But just want to say happy birthday, Luke Weston, and hello to my nana. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Well done to him. Well done to all the guys.
Yes. There's a guy that enjoys his racing. That's what it's all about. You know, it's gets the adrenaline going, and it's fantastic to see him get a good result, and I love it so much.
Yeah, it is great. So, Fabrizio Giovanardi, 2 out of 2 here at Thruxton. Matt Neal finished a superb 2nd place, fighting his way up from the 6th row of the grid. Paul O'Neill finished an excellent 3rd ahead of Plato, then Matt Jackson, Alex McDowell, Phil Glue, Stephen Kane, Rob Collard and David Pinkney. Just outside the points, we saw Gordon Shedden, Tom Onslow-Cole and Matt Hamilton, a good 13th place for the youngster. Andy Neate was 14th ahead of Andrew Jordan, then Tom Boardman, John George, Sean Hollenby, Martin Johnson and poor old Tom Chilton. So, with 2 races already under our belt here, we've got a lead for Fabrizio Giovanardi in the championship of some 11 points, and that's pretty impressive over Plato in 2nd. Paul O'Neill, who would have thought that he'd be holding 3rd place in the points after 2 races. That's good stuff from him. Then ahead of Matt Jackson, the first of the Airwaves cars. Matt Neal in 5th place, then Phil Glue and Alex McDowell tied. The 2 new boys in British Touring cars tied on 9 points apiece. They're ahead of Boardman, Pinkney and Gordon Shedden. So another race to go still here today, and that'll feature a reverse grid for some of the cars, and that'll be another fascinating encounter, no doubt. But Fabrizio Giovanardi has certainly been driver of the day, hasn't he, with the 2 victories so far. He clambers out of the car, and he's going to go and speak to Louise.
He's just clambered out of the car, actually clutching his back, which makes me think that I know you didn't have much time to get ready for this season, but are you not as fit as you should be?
Sorry.
Was that hard work?
Yeah, it was a little bit hard work, and then compared to the first race, because with the baby in the side, 45 kilos, I was really scared. At the moment I felt some vibration on tire, say, oh my God, it's my time now. But no, I think I just picked up some rubber and was okay, yeah.
I mean, you made it look pretty easy though, no pressure at all. Were you confident that you had the race under control the whole way?
In the beginning, no, because I've seen Jason quite fast. It was fast for a couple of laps, and then he came back to me, but then I had to fight with Jackson, so I took advantage.
This track has always gone well for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's perfect for me. I love this circuit.
What is it you love about it?
Keep flat. It's really fast. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Now listen, how do you see things shaping up for the next race? Because if you just look behind, you can see rain clouds and a bit of a storm brewing up over there. What impact is that going to have on things?
More interesting for people watching.
This is true. It'll
More
be
crash.
Pretty interesting for you driving out there. So now let's see if we can run over and grab a quick word with Matt Neal over here, 2nd place finisher, just taking his helmet off, and definitely the man on the move throughout that race. Started down in 12th and has finished up on the podium in 2nd place. Matt, well done, fantastic result.
It was busy. Yeah, over the moon. Yeah, real good job. I did have a few thoughts when I came up behind Jason, because I think he'd been watching me come through the traffic and got it kind of worked it out where I was quick. So I had to be doubly sure to have a go, and I got a good run on him down the straight, and the door was there, so I couldn't turn it away. But fortunately, it came off. It was a bit touch and go.
I have to say, you know, the minute I saw you coming up behind him at the chicane, I mean, myself and a few people around me, we were just kind of waiting for something to happen because it was clearly going to. Was that your thought as well?
Always does, doesn't it? The scares us off. No, it always does. No, it's great. I mean, to come from the car was superb. Little Civic from start to finish. We had our tyre woes in the first race, but they're absolutely spot on all the way through in that race, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. How
much did you change the car for this race to get around the problems that you had in the first event?
We went a little bit more conservative on the front end, but then we went a bit more risque on the back to try and compensate to give us power. And it wasn't as good as the first race, but, you know, pro rata against everyone else. It was a rocket ship, it was great.
Now, next event, next race could be an interesting one, couldn't it, with the reverse grid? What impact do you see that having?
Well, it means I've got to get past Jason again. I'll try anyway. It's going to be interesting starting alongside. That's all right.
I ran out of talent.
I thought you might have just slid.
Well, I was trying to make it hard for you, yeah. But I was struggling in the rear of my car and just lost the back, and that was it. I'm thinking, oh, here we go. But
we survived.
Yeah.
Well done, mate.
That is quite something, actually. I think that's the first time Jason Plato's ever apologised to you, hasn't it? And you're talking.
Yeah, it's good. Positive.
JP, give us your version on that move. I mean, it was a fairly ambitious one, to say the least, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, you know, I was struggling the last few laps with oversteer in my car. It was real, and I didn't get a very good run through church, lost the back of the car. And then got kind of on the curb, picked up some marbles. I thought, well, here we go. And I knew Matt had got a run. But I thought, you know, ordinarily, if he tries it around the outside, he's a brave man. And I thought, I'll just make it hard for him. And I went in a bit too hard and had to tighten my lock a bit, and then that was it. I was a bit of a passenger, really.
Did you think that was it totally?
No, I knew I would slide into Matt, and that would save the day. But yeah, I mean, what I was hoping for, if I'm really honest, was Matt would try around the outside. I'd make it hard. He wouldn't be able to get in and would go through the chicane, and then effectively, he would then be ahead, have to concede. Because he got an unfair advantage. Yeah. But actually, it all came undone. Yeah.
Well, listen, we look forward to seeing how the pair of you get on in the final touring car race of the day, and to see how they're going to line up on the grid for that final race. Let's go over to Steve.
Yes, one more race to come. It's due off at 5:10 here at Thruxton. And if you've been following our touring car coverage in recent years, you know this is the point where we try to reshuffle the front of the grid, hopefully as much as is physically possible. And to help us do that, we've got Rob Huff, World Touring Car star, and a fan of this championship, I'm sure. And it looks as if your old mate Jason Plato has charmed his way out of another one there.
Yeah, he seems to be getting stuck in as normal. It's great to obviously be here at Thruxton watching the British touring cars at the first event, and nice to be racing in a guest car in the Ginettas.
Fabrizio Giovanardi just walked behind us with a huge smile on his face. What about his 2 wins out of 2?
It's been blistering this weekend. You know, he's had the pace over pretty much everyone all weekend, and to do that with the weight on board as well is mightily impressive. Obviously the car's handling very well for him, and he's just stayed out of trouble. He's got his head down at the beginning of the races and got on with what he's supposed to be doing.
But as you say, you're here as a guest driver in Ginetta G50s. They won't invite you again because it's pole positions and 2 wins out of 2 so far. Can you make it 3 this afternoon?
Yeah, we'll give it a go. The car's been great. The Dynojet team have given me a great car. Very much enjoying myself, but we're starting 6th on the reverse grid, and yeah, we'll do what we can to try and make it 3 out of 3.
Okay, now talking of reverse grids, this is where, as I say, we try to reshuffle the front of the grid for the final touring car race of the afternoon. And highlighted there, we've got the drivers who finished 6 through 10. That's Alex McDowell, Phil Glue, Stephen Kane, Rob Collard and David Pinkney. And they're all reflected in these glossy cards, which we've reshuffled continuously for the last hour or so. And you, Rob, have to draw just one. The higher the number, the greater the celebration around the paddock. But it's your choice.
We'll go for this one down the bottom here.
Okay.
Let's see what we've got.
Who have we got? Number 9, Rob Collard, is promoted to the front of the grid, and there's a big reshuffle as a result of that. It's going to be fun, especially if there's a bit of rain around.
Yeah, very much so. I think to reverse the top 9, that's a fair chunk of the grid, so I think race 3 is going to be very entertaining. Okay,
Rob, and we look forward to seeing you in action live in the G50s a little bit later as well. Thanks for joining us for that, and we will detail exactly how the front of the grid has changed in a few minutes' time. But we've got Rob Collard on pole position. We've also got the Formula Renaults coming up live right after the break. He was champion 2 years ago, and now he's made the ideal start to the new campaign. Tim Harvey, unbeaten at Thruxton today, leading home the young talent of Ewan Hankey, Michael Caine in 3rd. Tim, congratulations. Not quite the perfect day because you've still got one more commentary stint to do, but any problems at all out there?
Yeah, the young guy, Ewan Hankey, I mean, he was all over me. Really kept me honest throughout the whole race, which is probably just a good thing, kept my concentration levels up. But no, I mean, he drove fantastically. He was really kept me honest all the way. I was pushing every lap. So great race, but really had to use, I think, the experience gained over the last few years to make the difference here at the start of the year. So perfect start to the year.
Yeah, in terms of the championship, a solid start is so important.
Yeah, points are so important. You can't have a problem or a non-finish, but, you know, it's going to get harder and harder, and if I could only just scrape through now, I don't know how I'm going to manage the rest of the year. But good racing, new guys in the championship as ever, but congrats to the team and thanks again to the sponsors.
And Michael Caine in third. You couldn't put any pressure on this young guy either.
No, I couldn't. I mean, you know, he starts, so I don't know where he's getting them from, but fantastic. I had a problem with my car off the start, as I did in the first one, but no, hats off to him. I mean, round here, you know, you've got to say that probably me and Tim were odds on to win perhaps one each or one apiece, whatever, but he's come in and yeah, he's rewritten the rule book, I think, first race and finishing second. That's very impressive, so congratulations to him and Parkers, and the boys have obviously done well, and me and the old boy Hiver, we'll have to go and sit and have a beer and think about what we're going to do about these young guys. So
OK, Ewan, give us an idea of the kind of pressure you're going to put these guys under in the season to come.
Well, first of all, thanks for all the compliments, guys. I'm just going to say it's going to take some beating because I was pushing my hardest there. Great thing about it is I'm still learning, and hopefully I should be improving as round by round. So I'm really looking forward just to really focusing on the rest of the championship now.
That's the worrying thing for these guys, that you're still learning. You learned to cope with a bit of a physical problem in the car today as well.
Yeah, I had some serious pump up on my right arm there from changing up, and I got it from the last 4 laps today. So I was having to upshift with my left arm, which proved quite difficult, but I managed just to scrape through. I was more worried about Michael rather than catching Tim, to be perfectly honest, but I just managed to hold on.
And the scholarship support that you've got for this season, exactly how important is that to you?
Oh, the Porsche scholarship, I mean, it's unbelievable. I wouldn't be here today without it, to be perfectly honest. They've given me so much support, and the monetary value that's offered to both Michael and myself is just tremendous, and I thank you very much to all the Porsche team.
OK, Ewan, Michael, you two can go and relax. Tim, you're off to the commentary box. We'll hear your words of wisdom in a few minutes' time. In our third touring car championship race of the day, I think the cars are assembling out there on the grid. Let's go to Louise.
Car's not quite here yet, Steve, but in the meantime I'm going to grab a quick word with Chris Brown, who's the boss of sunshine.co.uk, and of course their boy Paul O'Neill. Fantastic result for you in that last race.
Yeah, we were really pleased with it. I mean, we did come here this weekend saying might get a podium, it might be possible, and we did it. You know, we've showed everyone we've still got what it takes.
You are one of the smaller teams, so this kind of result means a lot to you, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's huge to us. I mean, there's nothing better than going out to somewhere like this. You know, we have got a tiny budget. TechSpeak worked really hard. And then just like, you know, racing up with the big guys at the front like Plato and Giovinardi, it's what we come to do.
Well done to you. Now let's grab a word with the boss of one of the bigger teams. Oh, I'm walking straight past you. Sorry, Dickie. He's not small either, as he's just pointed out. Now, first thing I want to ask you, we were chatting earlier on, you said that Colin Turkington was going to be watching at home on the television. How do you think he'll have enjoyed the result, all the races today?
Actually, I found out he's gone away for the weekend with no TVs in view. So he can't get frustrated by, you know, why aren't I in a car? So, no, I thought he'd be watching, but apparently he's gone away for the weekend with his lovely lady and his little boy.
Well, as you say, it would have been frustrating for him, I think, watching and not being able to compete. Been a bit of a frustrating day for you here as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, it's tough learning curve. You know, Rob was a bit impatient race one, but, you know, he said the car was great, so we're looking forward to it. You know, the BMW is good, and he's starting from pole now, so we'll see what he can do. So we're giving him the best we can give him, and, you know, hopefully he can be on a podium.
You've got 2 new drivers in the team this year. How difficult is it for you, and how difficult is it for them as well to get to know each other and to learn how each other works?
Yeah, it takes a little while to gel because it's the driving style of Rob is different to Colin. So we're just having to redial the car in to suit Rob's driving style. So we're getting there now. So, and Andy, it's a big new learning curve totally. You know, he had a horrendous accident a couple of years ago, so he doesn't want to take any risks at all. He's on a learning curve and he's enjoying himself, so that's the main thing. And it's, you know, he's really wanted to do BTC for years, and here he is on the grid.
Now, 2 BMWs on the front row of the grid, and in years gone by, certainly in the last couple of years, you would have said they're going to be, you know, way and away at the start and into the first corner. That advantage that the BMWs have had at the start has disappeared this year, hasn't it?
I'm afraid so, it has, yes. Mr. Gower's got a lot to answer for.
How do you mean? Explain that.
Well, the fact is other teams complained about we had an advantage, but what the other teams forget, we also have disadvantages. So in equality and fairness, that there should be some changes made to front-wheel drive or the general rules, so everything's fair and equal. We feel we've lost out on 2 or 3 things for this year, but front-wheel drives have gained on 1 or 2, so, you know, we'll see how we go.
Looking left at Mr. Gower, who's standing right here. So let's just ask. I don't know, Alan, were you hearing what Dick was saying then? Funnily enough. No, we were just talking about the fact that, BMWs have traditionally had a great advantage at the starts, but that's been effectively taken away. Is that the right way to put it?
Well, it happens all over the world. We were the only series left in the world that allowed the BMWs to do 2 standing starts or 3 standing starts in race meeting. Something like the World Touring Cars, they went to a rolling start in one of the races to take away that advantage. So we thought to give them to equalise it for everyone. There's no reason why a BMW should start faster than any other car.
3 different types of engine in the championship this year as well. How's that shaping up for you, do you think?
I think today has so far validated very well what we've done over the winter. There's been no discernible performance difference between those 3 engines, and that's just perfect. And if it was going to show up anywhere, it'll show up here at Thruxton.
Now, we've had lovely weather here at Thruxton for race 1. Sum up the day for us. How do you think it's gone so far?
I think it's been great. I love a wet race, so I was looking forward to a wet race sometime today, but that didn't happen. It's been a good start to the year. We haven't lost anyone. There hasn't been any great accident damage, and we've had some good racing. I'm sure this one will be a cracker.
Great start to the year for Fabrizio Giovanardi as well. How pleased are you to have him back in the championship?
He's one of the best drivers in the world, so obviously we are very, very happy he's back. I don't think all the other teams share that same sentiment, but bad luck. He's shown he's one of the class drivers that the BTCC has ever had in its history, and the same with the team. The team's a great team, and they're getting results.
Cheers, Alan. Right, let's see if we can grab a quick word with Rob Collard. He's just tried to put his net down. Local lad, Rob Collard. This is your local circuit, but it hasn't really been a brilliant weekend for you so far, has it?
No, we struggled a little bit this year. Coming back to Thruxton, it's been very wet and cold here, and it hasn't really suited the condition for the BMW. So we're hoping now that it's dry. It's a little bit windy, but starting from pole should be a good race.
Our first weekend with West Surrey Racing. How's it going so far?
Yeah, really, really comfortable. The team are fantastic. It's great to be back with such a good team.
Now, you've obviously made the switch across from Airwaves BMW. It was a fairly late switch as well. Tell us about that decision.
Yes, it was a very late decision. WSR gave us a deal that I couldn't turn down, so I'm very pleased to be back with WSR, and I just hope it all goes well.
Cheers, have a good race. Now let's just run over and grab a quick word with Stephen Kane, who's lining up on the front row of the grid alongside Rob. Stephen, making return to the British Touring Car Championship. Good to have you back. Are you happy to be back in touring cars?
Yeah, when we were sitting on the second on the grid, it's a good feeling, but we've got it together. We're here this weekend and we're here for the rest of the year, so we'll have to see what we get out of this result.
Hasn't all been plain sailing so far this weekend, there, has it? Problems in race 1?
No, I've been sick, and then we broke a drive shaft with this in first gear. It's been very difficult, and it was really the first practice start we did, and we broke a drive shaft with it, so we didn't get to finish the first race, but come back up through from 21st to 8th from the second race, and now we're second on the grid, so hopefully a good result will come.
This one's going to be an interesting race, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 BMWs up front and a lot of quick cars just behind you.
Yeah, Rob, he's a feisty one. I've raced with him before, so yeah, and we've got the quick boys straight behind us, so who knows, we just have to keep at it.
Have a good one, and we will be back to see the final race in the touring cars after this break.
Proud sponsors of the BTCC.
Stella Artois fort, s'il vous plaît. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Stella Artois fort. Triple filtered with a smooth outcome.
was a better way to see the world. Take your viewing experience to a whole new level with full LED. LG Infinia LCD TV with full LED technology. Now 3D ready.
Buying a used car? No worries with My Text Check. More than 1 in 7 used cars has a hidden past. Just text the reg to 83600 to check your car's not stolen, scrapped or written off. You'll get the data in seconds for just £3 plus your normal network charge. Data supplied by the DVLA, Police and Association of British Insurers. Just text the reg to 83600 now. My Text Check. No worries.
The British Touring Car Championship rolls into Brands Hatch this bank holiday weekend for a trio of wheel-banging races on the epic Grand Prix circuit. Main race day is Sunday the 2nd of May. Discounted adult tickets are just £24 online in advance. Kids 12 and under go free. Book now at brandshatch.co.uk.
This is a launch for Freeview HD. You're in a movie, it's a chase sequence, you're running in slow-mo. Action.
Freeview is going HD.
Are you obsessed by mint, Clinton? Because I need ideas. Lots of them.
MD, Barry Diamond.
Today, for the first time, we reveal the exciting new packaging for extra strong mint.
We're going to make a gum.
What?
Treble making a gum.
Oh, yes, a gum.
With Orange, you get the internet on your phone for free, so you can update your status as much as you want. But be careful what you say. I mean, you don't update every 5 minutes like Lynn.
I just bought broccolis, LOL.
And you don't want to be that guy that never updates because you're always really, really busy doing that. Come on, all right? You're an intelligent guy. Just say something smart. Oh, would you look at this little dog in a wig? Triple exclamation mark, smiley face. Free mobile internet with Dolphin Pay as you go and pay monthly. More from Orange for you.
As the Guinness Premiership season approaches its climax, it's make or break at both ends of the table. The fight for glory and survival couldn't be any closer. Guinness Premiership Rugby Highlights, tonight at 6:30 on ITV4.
Dunlop, proud sponsors of the BTCC.
It's Fabrizio Giovanardi, 2 wins out of 2 at Thruxton so far today, but the chances are it won't be the same story in this 3rd race here in Hampshire. Round 3 of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. Tim Harvey and Ben Edwards, your commentators.
If Fabrizio Giovanardi's going to win this race, he's going to have to do it from 9th on the grid. Now, Andrew Jordan has just come out of the pit lane. He's going to have to start from the back of the grid, but he will be on track rather than starting from the pit lane itself. But with the reverse grid featuring the top 9 from that last race, this is how they line up. It's Rob Collard on pole, Stephen Kane alongside him, both in BMWs, of course. Phil Glue is 3rd on the grid, Alex McDowell is 4th. Then it's Matt Jackson, another Airwaves car. Jason Plato starts from 6th place on row 3. Paul O'Neill next up, ahead of Matt Neal, who was so fast in the Civic earlier. Then it's Giovanardi, double winner so far today. David Pinkney's next to him. Gordon Shedden and Tom Onslow Cole share row number 6. On row 7, Matt Hamilton and Andy Neath. Then on row 8, it's Andrew Jordan, although actually he'll be at the back now. Tom Boardman is on that row 8, John George and Sean Hollenby behind. And then at the back we've got Martin Johnson and Tom Chilton.
Well, the reverse grid always throws up a few surprises. The first one will be, can Rob Collard get that BMW off the line? The BMWs have been going through clutches like confetti this weekend. There he is. If anyone can get it off the line, he can. He was the best starter ever last year for sure. But this long ratio they're having to use now is burning the clutches out, and the two BMW teams not very happy at the moment.
No, well, it's his local track. It's not far from home here, of course, and he's back with WSR, a team that he had his best ever result here at Thruxton a few years ago when he was driving the MG for this team, and he had a podium finish, a 3rd place, but he's never had a victory at his home circuit. So is this his chance? Well, he's got to break away. He's got Stephen Kane in the Airwaves BMW, the car that we all thought he was going to be driving until really a few weeks before the start of the season when he made this switch to WSR. But also not far behind, we've got Plato. Well, he's not far behind, and Matt Jackson, he's on the 3rd row, so plenty of opposition in there.
Yeah, well, it's a BMW lockout thanks to the reverse grid at the front. Maybe they'll be able to block everyone coming through.
We shall see. Plato focused, looks intent on scoring some decent points. He's ahead of Giovanardi, of course, on the grid for this one, ahead of Matt Neal too. There's Tom Chilton, he's right down at the back of the grid, so see how much he can fight through in this LPG-powered car, which has proven to be very even with the other engine types out there. And it's great to have a different fuel being used in British touring cars and in a front-running team as well. We've seen it before, but never in a team that's really threatening to battle for the championship throughout the season. And there is Chilton then, moving into his final slot on the grid. That means we've got them all there, I think, in position. And we're all set to go for the 3rd race of the day here at Thruxton. Round 3 of the Dunlop MSA British Touring Car Championship. Rob Collard versus Stephen Kane on the front row. Watch out for Phil Blue in the black car. Away we go, and Rob Collard tries to get the BMW off the line. Slow start from Alex McDowell in the first of the Chevrolets, so his teammate Plato was quickly past him. But as we get the race underway, Rob Collard did get away in front. 2nd place for Stephen Kane, and look at the battle going on for 3rd. 3 abreast as they head up towards the complex. All of them fighting for position in there. That's Matt Jackson on the outside. Got the Honda in there as well. Jason Plato there making up ground on the inside. 2 Vauxhalls, Giovanardi there, and Phil Blue, both battling with Plato.
Well, the 2 BMWs managed to get it off the line. Collard actually nearly stalled. He had to have 2 bites of the clutch, but the 2 of them pulled away nicely, and that looks like Matt Neal's made a great start.
Yeah, it does look like Matt Neal's up there as well. Collard, it is with the advantage, and it's BMW's 1, 2, 3 at the moment. We had a bit of a lockout on that front. The 2 Airwaves cars are running 2nd and 3rd, and then it is Matt Neal. So Matt Neal getting away pretty effectively there. See where Gordon Shedden gets to as well. He's a bit further down in the pack in the 2nd of the Honda Racing entries. And then Plato coming through, and then the 2 Unique Racing with 888 Vauxhall Vectras. Giovanardi in there with his teammate Phil Blue. Battle for the lead here as Stephen Kane attacks Rob Collard into the chicane. No way around the outside. Slots back in a second, loses a bit of time as a result of that.
Yeah, a few of them inadvertently going over the curbs just because they were carrying so much speed into that first chicane.
So Collard leads, Kane in 2nd, Neal in 3rd, Jackson, Plato, Glue is ahead of Giovanardi in those 2 black Vectras. It's the new boy, Philip Glue, who's ahead of double win already here today for Fabrizio Giovanardi. And as we come back up towards the complex once again, still Rob Collard has the advantage over Stephen Kane, and then Matt Neal in 3rd place and Matt Jackson in 4th, and now things just beginning to settle down a little bit.
Yeah, it's early days yet, but don't forget these 3 BMWs at the front not carrying any ballast at all, so at least it's going to be harder work for the others to catch up to them, but they're just settling down, bedding their tyres in. Rob Collard is the sort of driver, when he's at the front and he's got a sniff of a win, he really does drive well.
Yeah, we've seen it in the past, haven't we? There is Plato running 5th, and then it's Philip Glue and Fabrizio Giovanardi behind. And great first effort this from Phil Glue, who's doing everything sort of expected of him. Alex McDowell had a rather poor start in the other Chevrolet, so he dropped down the order, and he's actually running down in 14th position. This is the battle for 5th place, and it is Philip Glue trying to get past Jason Plato. He'll be loving this.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, he's got multiple champion Giovanardi behind him, and he's holding him at bay. Of course, Giovanardi does have 45 kilos of success ballast on him, but nevertheless, Glue's driving really well, and certainly no team orders at this stage of the year.
No way, absolutely. It's very early on, and Phil Glue doing his utmost to show that he deserves this slot in the British Touring Cars. Matt Neal, further up, of course, he's sitting in 3rd place and coming under a little bit of pressure there from Matt Jackson. Matt Jackson disappointed with the way the car was handling in race 2. He thought he was in an ideal position to really challenge the front-wheel drive cars that were ahead of him. But as the race progressed, he found more and more understeer. They have changed that car for this 3rd race, and they may have made it better for the latter stages. So keep an eye on that 4th-placed BMW there, tucked in behind Matt Neal.
Yeah, I think he also had a clutch problem. If you remember, he was very slow away from the line in race 2, and I think he burned the clutch out. It was slipping a little bit in the race as well. So he was dealing with a multitude of problems, but we'll see what happens later in the race. But also remember, Matt Neal, who finished 2nd in the 2nd race, is carrying 36 kilos. So if you're wondering why he's not perhaps challenging the BMWs at this stage a bit harder, that could be the reason.
Quick run through the top 10 then. It's Collard, Kane, Matt Neal, then Jackson, Plato, Phil Glue, Fabrizio Giovanardi is 7th, Gordon Shedden is 8th, Paul O'Neill is 9th, Andy Neat is in 10th, ahead of Tom Onslow-Cole, then Dave Pinkney, and Tom Chilton, who's come up to 13th, having started from the back of the grid. So Tom Chilton has made some progress. We've got somebody going straight across, I think. Might have been Andy Neat, I think, going across the chicane there in the BMW. He was in 10th place, and he's held on to 10th place with Onslow-Cole behind him.
Yeah, Giovanardi's just starting to ease his way up to the back of Phil Glue. He'll have brought his tyres in nicely, and well, he's certainly not been as much a rush as Matt Neal has to get to the front, but it may pay dividends at the end of the race.
Behind them, we've still got Gordon Shedden to think about, because he's in the other Honda Racing Civic, and we've seen how quick that car is. In the pit, it's been a bit of a disappointing race 2 and 3 for Andrew Jordan. Well, the whole day, in fact, has been a bit disappointing, but he'll be back and fighting again next time. Meanwhile, this is Plato under attack from Phil Glue. Phil Glue getting very close, but he's lost out momentum as a result. He had to lift a bit there, and that's given Giovanardi a little bit of an opportunity, and Giovanardi doesn't get asked twice, and he's got alongside and he's through. So it is a swap there between the Unic Racing cars. It's Giovanardi now ahead of Phil Glue.
Yeah, well, it'll do Phil a lot of good now to follow Giovanardi and just learn from the master, really, how to control the race, manage your tyres, but he's got a big problem behind. He's got Shedden trying to go around the outside.
This is brave from Gordon Shedden. Phil Glue eases him out and does the job perfectly well, and Giovanardi's going to now go on the attack and come up behind his friend and great rival Jason Plato. They always get on well, these two, but they fight as hard as anything on track. Tooth and nail it is. And let's see. Oh, this was Sean Hollenby having a spin in the Golf. Fast place to do that.
Yeah, well controlled though, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good.
Left some lurid lines round Church, but he held that very well indeed. And I think we saw Andrew Jordan just creeping out the pits for a little bit of a test run.
Well, let's hope that that car's running okay. But Giovanardi then now into 6th place, chasing after Plato. Collard has only a half-second advantage over Stephen Kane up front.
I think it's less than that, actually.
Really?
The shot I saw looked like it was much closer. Look, Kane is definitely keeping Collard more than honest.
Yeah, this is good stuff. 2 BMWs from different teams. You've got the WSR team with Rob Collard, the team that took Turkington to the title last year, and he's being chased by the team he was driving for, Airways BMW. Stephen Kane returning to British Touring Cars, getting a call very late as a result, really, of Collard moving across. And here comes Stephen Kane. He really is going on the attack. This is fantastic. Moving to the outside, up to the chicane. BMW side by side in the battle for the lead, and Collard still has the advantage.
Yeah, lovely slide from Stephen Kane as he turned in late there. The whole car drifting, but certainly Stephen he wants to prove a point, because he was left out of the team last year, and he's back and really wants to prove himself. And I think he needs to just bide his time a little bit here and see how the race pans out.
Yeah, Stephen, that's right, needs to play it a little patiently. A former Irish motocross champion before he switched to cars. He was junior Formula Ford champion here in the UK, went off and raced in Spanish F3, won the title out there, and very quick in Carreras. Of course, you raced against him in the Porsche Carreras a few years ago, Tim.
Yes, he was, I think he was 3rd in 2007, wasn't he?
That's right, had a lap record until your race just now, actually. It was broken by both you and by Michael Kane. So, on board with Rob Collard, still leading this race, but not by much, as you can see, from Stephen Kane. A little bit of a gap opened up there. And who is looking after their tyres? That is important, but not quite so crucial on the BMWs. They can attack a bit harder.
Yeah, well, I've seen quite a couple of slides from Stephen Kane's car. There was one there just coming out of Goodwood, and there was another one in the slower speed section, the complex. So he's giving it everything he's got, that's for sure. But he's very quick through Church there, isn't he? But yeah. Collard's never going to give him the inside, and he's not going to get around the outside either. I wonder if that new aero on the front of that BMW is giving it a top speed advantage.
Well, it's certainly fast, isn't he, up that hill? There's no doubt about it. But Collard is very canny. He just uses the correct line up to the chicane there, and there's no space for Stephen Kane to get alongside. Very evenly matched there under a full acceleration, as you can see. The two Ford Focuses are running together. You've got Tom Boardman in the middle of the pack down there as well. Onslow Cole is just still ahead of Tom Chilton. Chilton up to 12th place from the back now. So Chilton's made some good progress, and now you've got Plato versus Giovanardi in that battle for 5th place.
And Shedden has got past Phil Glue as well.
Right, okay, that's important. Look how close the leaders are again. Collard and Stephen Kane. So nothing to choose between those two BMWs. Matt Neal is still in 3rd. Then the other Airwaves car of Matt Jackson. So really nothing in it at the moment. Rob Collard will be trying to not look in his mirrors. He will be very aware, all too aware of how close Stephen Kane is. But a great run through Goodwood from Matt Neal. And now Matt Neal's joining in the fun and games.
Yeah, we're going to have a 4-way battle for the leads very soon, I think.
This is great. Matt Neal getting ever closer, and he is really beginning to hunt them down.
Stephen Kane's car is really moving around in the fast stuff now, and that's given Matt Neal, with that very quick Honda Integra engine, a real run. But well, he knows as well it's very difficult to get around the outside. Oh, he might do it because Stephen Kane was blocked. Oh, no, 2 in 1 go, surely.
Collard spins, Matt Neal takes with him, but he gets back on again, and in front is Stephen Kane with Matt Jackson. Airwaves 1-2 at the moment. Well, how a race can change.
Well, I mean, Matt Neal was trying to get one. I've no idea why he ended up trying to get both cars at the same time, but it's always fraught with danger trying to go around the outside. Watch this. I mean, Kane gets a little bit blocked by Collard braking, so that gives Matt Neal the opportunity to get a little bit of an overlap. There's a little bit of contact, and I thought Matt Neal would slot in between the two, but just ended up side by side with Collard, and oh, an expensive bang.
Yeah.
Watch this. It's just, he just couldn't find a way into the train.
Couldn't sort of slow down enough, could he? In terms of, he didn't really want to get past Collard. I think he would have been happier to slot in behind him, but it wasn't to be. Safety car is standing by, so yeah, we've gone yellow, so it looks like safety car is on circuit, and it is Stephen Kane and Matt Jackson, Airwaves BMWs.
Well, Rob Collard didn't deserve that. He did nothing wrong at all, and look, he's shaking his head. He can't believe it. He'd driven a perfect race up until then, and still denied his first win at home track at Thruxton, but it does put motor-based Airwaves BMW in a very strong 1-2 position.
It does, but it'll also close the field back up again. Jason Plato running in 3rd, Giovanardi in 4th, then Gordon Shedden, who's been going well, Phil Glue behind them, of course, still running quickly in the Unique Racing Vauxhall Vectra, then Paul O'Neill, he's up there, Andy Needs, and now away we go, and the safety, I don't know quite what they're all doing here.
Well, the safety car boards are supposed to go out from the start-finish line in both directions. I couldn't see any there. The old rule was that you race back to the start-finish line. Of course, we had the yellow flag at the chicane as well, but they should have stopped racing well before they got to that point, but it didn't seem like everyone knew.
No, that's right. Well, anyway, they are there now, stacking up behind the safety car.
I mean, Plato actually crossed the line in front of Jackson at that point. Right. And, here's a replay of it. Matt Neal sensing an opportunity to have Stephen Kane blocked. There's a little touch there, and then Matt, well, he looks like he dives for a gap that just isn't there.
It does actually look as though he doesn't try and get back in as much as he would have thought. Could have dabbed the brake, yeah, you would have thought, but...
and I gather Matt Neal is out in the pits as he's out of the race as well with front suspension damage.
This is on board Pinkney. Oh, I see. Somebody was very wide there. I think that was Onslow Cole.
No, that's Pinkney.
Sorry, no, it was Pinkney who went wide.
Pinkney's wide at Church.
Okay, yeah, so it was Pinkney who managed to get back on. Thankfully, no damage done. And the safety car leads them round. Well, there's Matt Neal explaining what's happened and what's gone on.
Yeah, that's Barry Plowman, his chief mechanic, and usual sort of lots of arm waving and gesticulation, and of course it wasn't planned to end up like that, it just happened, and sometimes that's touring car racing, but Matt was trying to take an advantage of a potential blockage of Stephen Kane, but just ended up running into more trouble.
So Airwaves, BMW 1 and 2, and then Plato in third. Lights are still on. So we're just listening to a bit of radio communication. We have been listening. Let's just see if we can...
Yeah, Plato was just trying to establish really sort of what everyone's pace was, who was running quickly, where they were, confirm how many laps to go. He just wants to know what everyone's relative pace is. You can see he's thinking championship, 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 which is exactly the right attitude. It's what he didn't have at the start of last year. Last year he was just going hell for leather, try and win races, didn't really worry about it because he obviously started late. But now he's thinking championship, and so of course is Giovanardi.
Well, down in the pits, we were just listening back to some of this. That's done. So let's go down to the pits. Louise is with Matt Neal.
Matt, talk us through that move.
Got a cracking run through Church, and then got a good draft off the Beamers coming down into the to the final chicane. Seemed like Collard braked early for Caney, and whether he was trying to snooker Caney with me, but because he braked so early, I managed to go all the way around the side of the pair of them, and then Rob just chopped across and hit me in my front wheel, so that took the pair of us out.
So did you feel it was a slightly over-ambitious manoeuvre by you, or do you lay the blame at Rob's door?
The thing is, once I'd gone down the outer side of Caney, I was there. I got nowhere to go because they went nose to tail. So, you know, we go through that side by side. You just have to use a bit of curbs, but whether Rob didn't see me or whatever, I don't know. So I was there. It's a manoeuvre I did several times in the second race. Disappointing because the car was on fire.
Cheers, Matt.
Really good.
Thanks, Louise. Well, disappointing indeed for Matt Neal. But the situation here with the safety car lights out, we're going to go racing once again, and it'll be Stephen Kane leading his teammate, Matt Jackson, and he gets underway as they come up the hill, tries to make a bit of a break. That was a nice little restart there. And Matt Jackson's one of the stars of restarting, and yet Stephen Kane judged that very well.
Yeah, he did. He caught him lapping a little bit and established a nice little gap. Look, they're nicely spread out. So, once again, it's formation flying for Airways BMW, and I'm sure David Bartram will have been on the radio during that safety car period to say, don't you dare take each other off.
That's right. 10th place for Tom Chilton, having started at the back, and he's now putting his teammate under pressure. So Tom Onslow Cole and Tom Chilton, the two Toms at Team Aon in their LPG-powered Ford Focuses, going well. Stephen Kane still leading this race from Matt Jackson in second. Then it's Plato and Giovanardi. Giovanardi beginning to look quite racy, tucked in behind the Silverline Chevrolet. There are the two Aon cars. Behind them, we've then got... behind them we've got Pinkney, then McDowell and Boardman, so everybody making it through okay on that restart. No dramas down there. Paul O'Neill, of course, had that great run earlier on. He's sitting in 7th place at the moment.
Yeah, I think Paul O'Neill's carrying 27 kilos.
Somebody was a bit wide there.
That's a BMW.
I think it was Andy Neat.
It is, yeah. It's one of the West Surrey Racing ones with the blue flashes. But, yeah, I mean, Paul O'Neill had such a good run going at the podium in the second race. But I think now carrying that little bit of extra weight, 27 kilos, he's starting to feel it. So it shows you what a good job Giovanardi does when he's got 45 kilos on, because he's still very competitive.
Yes, that's right. Maximum ballast, but he's pushing Plato here. The two Airways cars up front, but this is the battle for third. Jason Plato. Giovanardi loves using that curve on the exit of the chicane, but the Chevrolet's got good power in a straight line. No surprises there, and he's able to turn in ahead of the black Vauxhall Vectra. The Unique Racing with 888. And look up front, those two Airways cars are having a bit of a ding-dong as well themselves. No team orders, as we mentioned, for any of these guys at this stage of the season. Looking back at Giovanardi from Plato's car, and don't forget Shedden is tucked in behind them as well.
Yeah, Shedden, of course, was the pole man, and he's got no weight on the car. So with Honda Racing having dialed that car in, certainly in the second race, he should be very quick.
Yes, no doubt about it. Matt Neal was obviously very pleased with the way his car was going before the unfortunate incident involving himself and Collard. And as we watch them through the back, it's still Kane from Jackson, then Plato and Giovanardi, followed by Gordon Shedden and Phil Glue. Still very impressed with the youngster Phil Glue, the reigning Clio Cup champion, stepping up so effectively this weekend and keeping his nose clean. Staying out of trouble, big slide from Stephen Kane in the middle of the Church corner. Oh, and Jackson also sliding, but this could be an opportunity for his teammate.
I tell you what, these two guys both want to win this race really badly, don't they? See what happens through here. They're right up behind each other. They've got to keep going at full speed, though, because otherwise the rest of the Plato and Giovanardi and Shevin battle are going to catch them up. So they have got to keep going. But you get the impression Matt Jackson thinks he's a little bit quicker than Stephen Kane.
Well, let's get down to the pits, because Louise has caught up with Rob Collard, who was involved in that incident with Matt Neal.
Rob, spoke to Matt earlier on. He thought you'd have seen him coming through there.
No, this is a very professional championship, and you've got people like Matt Neal who just thinks he can drive through people. He's got the worst reputation on the track for doing dirty tactics, and it's just disgusting. You know, these cars are very expensive. It's a very professional championship, and he's driving like an amateur.
Thanks, Rob.
So an unhappy Rob Collard, but we've still got a great race on our hands here. We're on lap 13 out of 18. The two Team Airwaves cars. Stephen Kane looking for his first ever victory in a British touring car race. Matt Jackson's had a few, including here at Thruxton last year in the Chevrolet Lacetti in race 3. Here we are in race 3 in 2010. And there's Dave Bartram, their team boss, hoping against hope that they don't take each other off.
Yeah, he's on the radio. Look, he can talk to both drivers, in fact, separately. He can probably talk to them both together, actually. But I had the impression on the last lap that maybe Matt Jackson was a little bit quicker than Stephen Kane, but they've both stretched away from Plato now.
Yeah, they have, and it's Plato who's having to defend busily from Fabrizio Giovanardi. And early stages of the championship, Giovanardi's got the points lead, of course, at the moment. How risky is he going to make his move? Loves that curve on the third part of the chicane.
Yeah, two different lines there. See, Plato takes a lot of the middle curve to straighten the corner out, and Giovanardi takes a lot of the third curve to straighten it out. But at the end of the day, it's quid pro quo, I think.
Yeah, and again, he used a lot of curve at Allard. He seemed to lose out there, Giovanardi, a little bit doing that, and he's got to watch out because Shedden got a bit closer as a result. That little Honda is all over the rear bumper of the Vauxhall Vectra. Up front, no change between Stephen Kane and Matt Jackson, both driving superbly well for Airwaves, looking at a 1-2 finish. What an amazing finish to the day that would be for them after 2 wins for this man, Ian Harrison, who's brought Giovanardi in at the very last moment and would still go away with the championship lead if things stay as they are right now.
Yeah, he'd be very happy with that for sure. Great start to his independent team status. The Vectra looking... shedding up the inside. Definitely shedding up the inside. He's going to have enough here, I think, to hold it into Church. Let's see. Oh! Thought Giovanardi was going to turn in on there. They were ever so close.
Oh, yes, I thought so as well, but Shedden was having none of it. In fact, if anything, it's put Giovanardi under threat from his teammate again. Paul O'Neill is catching the two of them from behind as well in the sunshine.co.uk car. Giovanardi still with maximum ballast on board, of course, remember. 2 BMWs through the chicane. Oh, Plato gets well out of shape.
Yeah, that was a reaction to the car coming off the bump, but he held that very well, didn't he?
Onslow Cole still ahead of teammate Tom Chilton in the battle of the forwards. Further back, they're running in 8th and 9th places. No change between them. And Andy Neat, I think, no, Tom Boardman is now into 10th place, ahead of Andy Neat in 11th, McDowell in 12th, and Dave Pinkney in 13th place. Lead us through, bobbling over the curb once more. We're on lap 15 out of 18. Now, let's just take a look. This was Paul O'Neill, tucked in behind Phil.
This was Plato at the front. Oh, we didn't see it, but... I thought we were going to see Plato's slide there from behind, but it was really just some very, very close bumper-to-bumper action.
Yes, indeed. Stephen Kane and Matt Jackson, still nothing to choose between them. Hollenby has stopped.
That looks like on the start-finish line on the outside, and he may not even be able to open the door if he's stuck up against the arm car. I would have thought that would be a...
No, he can open the door, so that's right.
Oh, yeah, he's okay. He's on the grass, but will that be a safe... Oh, big slide there. We just caught that from Stephen Kane.
Surely that's got to put him under pressure from his teammate now. Matt Jackson goes to the outside. That was a big slide by Stephen Kane. Now it's going to be a battle on the brakes. Matt Jackson's going to try and go around the outside of him. Battle between the teammates. They can't afford to take each other off. And Stephen Kane just holds it, although Matt Jackson has to cut across the chicane. Look at the behind as well. Shedden's trying to get past Plato. Wonderful racing.
Well, Jackson definitely could. If it had been anyone else other than his teammate, he'd have turned into the corner, but he just didn't dare turn in on his teammate, which was good driving for him. But you do get the impression that Matt has got a better car underneath him. He saved his tyres just a little bit better, and there's certainly a hint of desperation about Stevens driving. He wants to win this race.
He does, but Jackson, well, Jackson will be thinking, I think, of the championship as well. He would expect to be a front runner throughout the season, so he can't afford to do anything too risky. Stephen may well challenge for the championship, but you tend to expect Matt Jackson to be a solid runner with his record in this series, a runner-up in the past. Amazing sequence of podium finishes during the middle of last year as well. Looking back from Plato at Gordon Shedden. this might not be over yet. This is the battle for third place, remember. Plato in third, Shedden in fourth, Giovanardi still in the hunt. He's in fifth, Phil Glue in sixth, O'Neill in seventh, and then Onslow, Cole and Chilton, those two forwards a little bit behind, but absolutely nothing to choose between them.
Yeah, you'd think Shedden should get this. He's got less weight on the car, and we've seen Plato's car moving around quite a lot, but the pressure that Giovanardi's putting Shedden on is, around the outside and on the grass, Giovanardi. And this pressure is just allowing Jason to just stay in front of the two of them.
Yeah, really good quality racing this. Great to see Gordon Shedden back in a car that's working well too. A real front runner, a winner every season except for last year in these last few years of British Touring Cars, and he was a bit out of luck. He was with Team Dynamics to start the season, and then they brought James Thompson in, and then he was in the Club Seat outfit, of course, got some second places, but didn't quite get a victory. But I'm sure we'll see him winning again this season. He's looking very, very good, and the work they've done on that Honda Civic over the winter seems to really have upped the game again.
Yeah, quite a lot of aero work as well as suspension work done on that car. It may look very similar apart from the striking new livery. We're so used to seeing those team cars in orange or black, but the car looks fantastic in its Honda Racing colours. But a lot of work's gone underneath the front of that.
Bit of tyre smoke behind.
That was Phil Glue just locking up the unweighted
he's in
tyre.
trouble.
And
He's in trouble.
Has he got a puncture?
May well be. He's slowed right down.
He's pulled off.
Yeah.
He's pulled off. I think that may not be puncture related. That looks like engine related due to the smoke. And if it was puncture related, he'd have limped round to the pits. But if it's engine related, he pulls straight off.
Oh, great shame to lose him. He's been a star today, no doubt about it. But look at Shedden versus Giovanardi as they come up the hill. Again, Plato just in front of them in the Silverline Chevrolet. And then Gordon Shedden in the Honda Racing car, and then Giovanardi in that black Vectra tucked in behind, looking for any chance. On to the final lap they go, though. What are we going to see on this last lap? Any last-minute attacks, or is it all going to stay the same to the flag?
Well, a couple of laps ago, Matt Jackson put his headlights on, which is usually the signal to the man in front. Look, I think I'm faster than you. Whoa! But he's turned them off now, so I think that means, OK, I'm not going to put you under pressure. We'll just take this one home, 1-2 to the flag.
Yes, indeed. It does look as though that's the way it's going to be, and it'll be a historic day for Airwaves BMW if it stays like this. So 1-2 is what they're heading for. They've just got to get through the last half of the final lap. Stephen Kane, look at David Bartram, the nerves. You can tell how tense he's feeling at the moment. He's running 8 cars in total here at Thruxton this weekend, including the Porsches. But what he is about to witness is perhaps his finest moment. They've enjoyed some wins last year, of course, but a 1-2 finish, well, that would be an amazing start to a brand new championship, and particularly bearing in mind it was all put together so late.
Yeah, and very richly deserved as well. David's had some atrocious luck in the past few years with accidents and drivers getting involved, things that were not his fault at all. To see his 2 cars coming home, he'll be absolutely over the moon.
We're gonna have a new winner in British Touring Cars. His name is Stephen Kane. He takes an Airwaves BMW 1-2 at Thruxton, and what a race to the line there behind. Plato just took third, Gordon Shedden in fourth, Giovanardi in fifth. Wonderful racing between 3 experienced campaigners, and they all managed to keep it clean. But Stephen Kane, well, you know, we lost Colin Turkington, the reigning champion, but Northern Ireland well represented by this young man, Stephen Kane, and there's his team boss, David Bartram, celebrating a 1-2 finish for Airwaves BMW. And as you say, Tim, that really justifies all the hard work and heartache that David and the rest of the team have put in over the last couple of years. What a result.
Well, he very nearly threw the towel in and sold these cars over the winter. He lost the major backing from Airways, which was the team sponsor last year. Fortunately, they came in at the last minute with enough money to get the programme going, and he has justified their faith in them no end. And together with Leyland Paints and the Money Shop and the other sponsors on board, and 2 great drivers. I remember a conversation with David, and he said, you know, I've got to have 2 drivers capable of winning any race, and he's now got that.
Yeah, definitely. 2 very fast drivers. To be able to stay ahead of Matt Jackson, we know how good Matt Jackson is, and yet he managed to soak up that pressure, didn't he?
Yeah, a little bit fortunate, obviously, because Matt Neal, who was very quick, went out and took out Collard. So a little bit fortunate, but that's what touring cars is about. They still stayed in front of Plato and Giovanardi.
Yeah, absolutely right. So great stuff. And Stephen Kane heading around enjoying this slow down lap. Jackson in second place and Jason Plato in third. So Shedden, he'll be relatively happy with that 4th place. I think Giovanardi, more useful points with the reverse grid, starting in 5th place, finishing in 5th place, and Paul O'Neill rounding off what has been a very good weekend for sunshine.co.uk, suitably enough, finishing in 6th. Confirmation of that then, Stephen Kane leading home in Airwaves, BMW 1-2, Plato in 3rd, then Shedden and Giovanardi. O'Neill in 6th. Tom Onslow-Cole stayed ahead of teammate Tom Chilton in the Ford Focus for 7th and 8th. Alex McDowell was 9th, and in 10th place it was Dave Pinkney. Outside the points, Andy Needs and Matt Hamilton, then Tom Boardman and Andrew Jordan. Phil Glue, unluckily there because he'd driven so well. John George, Sean Hollenby, Matt Neal and Rob Collard tangling at the chicane. Martin Johnson also out of the race. So it's been a tremendous start to 2010, and particularly for the Italian, Fabrizio Giovanardi, who came in a last-minute deal, won 2 races, and goes away leading the points by 7. Jason Plato's very much in the hunt. Matt Jackson in 3rd place ahead of Paul O'Neill, who's got to be one of the surprises in a way in terms of overall results in the weekend. Stephen Kane sits 5th after that victory. Matt Neal in 6th, then Alex McDowell, Gordon Shedden, Phil Glue and Tom Boardman. Well, there, Matt Jackson actually needing a push to the get to finish this lap, which is a bit of a surprise. Whether he's run out of fuel or whether he's had something else going wrong, I don't know. But the marshals are helping out as ever. It's final race of the day, so little remaining energy left. They can help Matt Jackson make it back to the pit lane. Well, it's been a tremendous start to the season, no doubt about it. Giovanardi might have shown what he can do in those first 2 races, but a very open 3rd race in particular, with a new race winner. Lovely to have a new winner in Stephen Kane. Only his 2nd season in British Touring Cars, having missed out last year, not doing any races last year, and coming home ahead of this guy, Matt Jackson. And they really are going to be a threat for the championship. They'll push each other. They're both hungry. They're both feisty drivers, and they will keep pushing each other all the way through to the end of the season. And they will make sure that they're attacking the likes of Plato and Giovanardi throughout. But Giovanardi's late deal has certainly upped the ante in terms of this championship. Could he be on for a 3rd title in British Touring Cars? He's going away from this first meeting at Thruxton with the points advantage over Jason Plato. And Plato knows now that he might have come in as favourite before everyone knew that Giovanardi was going to be around. But if he completes his deal for the rest of the season, we could have a different story. Let's get down to the pits with Steve.
Well, it was a great battle between the Airways BMW teammates to round off at Thruxton. And Stephen Kane, welcome back to the championship. How satisfying was that?
Well, first win, and to be back in the first weekend's excellent. You can't ask for anything more. You know, we started off, had a bad race, or bad start to the weekend, breaking a drive shaft in the first race. But we made good headway in the second one, and now we've got the rewards by winning the 3rd, so it's good for the championship.
How much during the course of the latter half of that race were you thinking, we're on for a team 1-2 here, we mustn't throw this away?
Yeah, well, you know, to be honest, Matt had the legs on me, but my tyres went off. I pushed too hard at the start to go after Rob, and, you know, he really had the legs on me, but at the end of the day, I think we've got 1-2 now, so that's all we can ask for.
What did you see of the incident at the chicane between Rob and Matt Neal?
Yeah, Rob, I think Rob was just minding his own business, and Matt just tried to go around the outside, and 2 into 1 doesn't go, so it's touring cars, isn't it?
What does this do now for the team, and how does it boost the confidence for the season to come?
Yeah, for Airwaves BMW, you know, it kicks it up a gear for this year. You know, it takes it up to a new level. I think me and Matt are both very competitive drivers, and they've got the right staff working in the team now. You know, David's worked very hard over the winter, and, you know, I think we can realistically try and fight for the title.
And for you personally, obviously it's great to be back, especially with a win like this. What do you think you can achieve?
I would like to think I can go for the title. You know, the deal was very late. It was only the Friday before the media day, so, you know, this is the first real run I've had in the car, so it's excellent to get this result so far.
A very effective run too. Stephen, well done.
Thank you.
Stephen, winner of our 3rd race here at Thruxton, our 3rd British Touring Car Championship race of the day, and how much he enjoys that moment. Stephen Kane back in the championship with a race win. We'll have time for more reaction when we return in a few minutes.
Dunlop, proud sponsors of the BTCC.